Ah, there we go. There we go. Now we're in business.
Are we recording yet?
No, I haven't allowed it for use yet, but once I hit. All right. What is going on, YouTube and fantasy owners out there? It is a Monday. It is December 15th, and I know that I put on the channel that I was going to. You go right there. Getting comfortable. Yeah, get comfortable. Pull the chair. Sit down. I knew I put on the channel that I was going to record a video on Wednesday for the Week 16 preview, but instead, again, last-minute switcheroony, last-minute change here for the FFSR for your league, your team, your home, your game. You know where it's at. Nate Henninger is back, the co-owner with the most for our team. Co-owner with the most, host with the most. I don't know what you want to call yourself. But so we are actually doing in this episode kind of a celebratory edition for us. We have reached the finals now for the second stream. I mean, it's pretty much a lock. We're up by 57 points going into this Monday night game tonight. Our opponent has Jimmy Graham, but I personally, and I don't think you have either, have ever seen a tight end go off for 57 points or more. So I doubt that's going to happen. So we are booking our spot in the final, going up against Flynn's Raiders 4, who's our opponents. Will like have like a 13-2 record. It will be a challenge, but we are up to the task. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to recap the top players from this week. We'll kind of look ahead to tonight's Monday night game with New Orleans and Chicago as well. And then kind of give you a little bit of a look ahead at matchups for your Week 16 championship week as well. So a lot of guys to debate, a lot of guys to discuss. Let's start, though, with Monday night, though. Let's start with tonight's game because that's what some owners are also looking forward to in the closer matchups, unlike us, where ours is very much locked, stocked, barrel in the bag. So let's think about tonight. Obviously, with New Orleans and Chicago, you're talking about two really good offenses. I mean, you're going to probably use the majority of your guys in this game. You're obviously going to use Drew Brees. That's a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
Even though he had a rough week last week, he only had 5 fantasy points. But come on, it's Drew frickin' Brees. I mean, you know, you're going to start Drew Brees regardless against a Chicago defense that is leaky anyway.
I was just going to say, how good is the Chicago
Chicago's
defense?
D has been pathetic most of the year.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of turmoil in Chicago right now. I don't know if you heard the story that you probably didn't on the internet, but the Bears offensive coordinator, and I mentioned on the show also last week.
You remember, you're the stat guy.
That's true.
So.
That's true. The Bears offensive coordinator kind of had a mini meltdown. He said something on NFL Network about the team was having like a buyer's remorse and re-signing Jay Cutler, not showing his confidence in Cutler. So then he had to apologize to Cutler. Cutler shaking his head the whole time he's apologizing. It's a big old mess in Chicago. Let's just say that. It is a big old mess. So
I don't think Cutler's buying it.
I don't think he is either. I don't think so either. If you're shaking your head during an apology,
well, the Bears probably is forcing him to. You either apologize or you lose your job.
Pretty much.
What do you want to do?
And there's already reports.
It's not
Again,
sincere
there's
at all.
already reports that Trestman's head coaching job's in jeopardy. The defense, Trestman, the Bears head coach, he might be in jeopardy of losing his job. The defensive coordinator is already reportedly going to get fired at the end of the season. So a lot of turmoil in Chicago. So you're using your Saints. You're using Drew Brees. You're using Mark Ingram, obviously. Maybe Pierre Thomas is a flex if you're desperate.
Hey, I've got a good idea.
What's that?
How about if Trestman gets fired? How about Darrell Hazel takes over? Can't suck that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know if any of you watchers are Purdue fans like us, unfortunately, but it's not pretty for Purdue football.
No,
oh, shoot.
It's not.
No, it's very painful when you have to go to games and you have to watch the team get blown out. No disrespect, but to the likes of Northwestern or Iowa, I mean, it's not pretty.
Yeah, and we were just talking before we started recording. Woohoo! Purdue's won 3 games this year. Yay!
Yay! And one of them was against Southern Illinois. Woohoo! And Western Michigan. But like I said, Western Michigan is pretty legit because they got a freshman running back who's really, really good. So And Illinois. And Illinois actually got to a bowl game, surprisingly. But Illinois is, I think, one of the worst 6-6 bowl teams I've ever seen.
Yeah, and our watchers are probably like, this is supposed to be pro football.
Yeah, we made the switch. Yeah, different tangents.
Still.
It happens. It happens.
There's
But
just as much turmoil in the college
as there is in the Bears.
as there are in
Exactly.
professional.
Exactly. Bottom line, though, is, and I mentioned this on the show, you're starting your Saints. You're starting, again, Breeze,
Definitely.
Ingram, Kenny Stills at wide receiver, filling in for the injured Brandon Cooks. Obviously, Jimmy Graham is a start. He's not going to make up 57 points in your league, but
Doubt it.
But you're starting him, and of course, would you start the Saints defense though against that Bears offense? It's tough because really, I mean, the Bears have playmakers, but really outside of when Cutler struggles, the Bears struggle.
Yeah.
And he can be turnover prone.
I'd say when any quarterback struggles is your team. Case in point, Texans and Colts. I think we'll get into that a little later.
Yes. So I mean, I don't know if they'd be worth the risk in a fantasy semifinal. I don't, it's tough because you're still going to pound the ball with Matt Forte, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You know Chicago's going to do that.
Well, I think it's a position where kind of like where we're at. If you have the Bears
the Saints
DST, excuse me.
Yeah. You're not using the Bears DST.
Do you have a better option or not?
Right.
And you got to think of your better option.
Yes. So
if your Saints is a good option, if your Saints DST is a good option, start them.
Right, but if not, then
if you have a better option,
then go with that.
Yeah.
Yep, I concur. As for the Bears, you can probably still use Cutler, but more of a QB2 because he just lost his top weapon for the season. Brandon Marshall is done for the year. In the game last week, he suffered 2 fractured ribs and a collapsed lung.
Ouch.
Yeah.
He'll be lucky if he plays again.
So
with a collapsed lung, that's nothing.
I don't know if it's collapsed or like punctured, but it was one of the two.
Well,
either way.
Anytime you're talking about a lung injury, come on, you need to run, you need to be quick in the game of football.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Are they talking career injury or just?
I don't think. I think I read yesterday he was discharged from the hospital, so he is going home. So, but obviously not playing the rest of the season, obviously. But at least he got discharged from the hospital, so that's at least encouraging news. But so now you've got obviously a rise in targets for Alshon Jeffrey. He's now going to become the top receiver there. You've also going to get Marquess Wilson involved as now your second receiver out alongside Jeffrey. So he might be a guy that's available in a lot of your leagues to pick up. So he could be a guy you could use. But I think you still go with Cutler as a QB2. You still go with Matt Forte as a start. Definitely with Jeffrey. Maybe Wilson as a wide receiver 3. Martellus Bennett, I think, is going to get a huge rise in targets too at your tight end. I think you can use the kicker, but you're not using the Bears DST. I think that is not a worthwhile option.
Against the Saints? Yeah, no. Unless you're that team that we played that was like 2 and whatever. And give a crap.
Oh yeah, like Richmond Highlanders or Keller Aztecs who gave up on the season midway, didn't set their lineups. Yeah, you'll have some teams like that in your league. Either just idiot owners or just give up on the season midway and say, F it, I'm not setting my lineup anymore. I'm out of the playoff hunt. Boo-hoo, woe is me. You don't give up. You don't quit. I mean, that's the chicken way out. I mean, now we can't really say that much for us because we made the playoffs 7 out of 9 years. But
there was, I think you said, a couple years ago we made the playoffs barely at 6-6.
7-7 in 11. We won the division because we were in a weak division. So, but we didn't quit. And we were like 2-5 or 2-3. We didn't lay down and die. So you can't quit. I mean, you can't just give up on the year. That's like why you're playing the game in the first place. You signed up for this. Don't give it up. The Navy's saying, don't give up the ship. I mean,
And, do athletes give up if they're losing? No.
No.
They play to win the game.
They play. No, Herm Edwards. You play to win the game.
You play to win the game.
Yeah. Hello.
You play because of your love of the game.
Right. Exactly. Yep. All valid points.
Some pop culture here, but I can make the analogy. I was reading on the Fast and Furious franchise.
Sure.
There's a big debate on how to handle, Paul Walker's character, Brian O'Connor.
Correct.
And, of course, tragically, he passed.
Yes.
But, you know, do you kill him off in the series? Do you retire him? And I was reading some of the comments, and to make the comparison to football and stuff,
right.
I was reading some of the comments. If you leave just because Brian O'Connor leaves, you're not a fan.
No.
You know, if you love that franchise, just like if you love the game of football, you know, I'm still a Colts fan. I didn't stop watching the Colts because Peyton Manning left.
Right.
You know, I'm still a Peyton Manning fan, of course.
Right.
But I didn't stop watching the Colts because Peyton Manning left.
No.
You know? If you love the game, you'll stick with it.
Yes, absolutely.
And you'll stick through it.
Absolutely. You know, through high times and low. Yeah, you stick with it and stick through it, you know. Shoot, I make the reference on Twitter all the time with the Pacers. I was there through the bad years after the brawl, and I was still a fan. I'm not going to abandon my team.
No.
So, all right. So now we went on a whole different tangent for a minute there, and it's all right.
I was making the comparison.
I know.
To, you know,
that's how the show works. We go off on.
If you love football, you stick with it. If you love whatever, you stick with it. Find a passion,
right?
And no matter where they're at.
I could make the Frank Caliendo reference to tangents.
Huh?
He says sometimes he does the John Madden
yeah.
voice. Sometimes he goes up on a tangent and does this and he goes off in this way and then boom, it's where he went right there on that tangent there.
Yeah.
He's amazing. You got to admit, doing all those voices. Frank Caliendo is just sick.
Yeah.
All right, recapping. Now we've talked about Monday nights. For the rest of this week, let's recap the rest of Week 15. Who stood out for your teams this week? Who got you to those championship games? And we're going to do it kind of a quicker way, at least with the top 4 positions. We kind of lumped them all together with quarterback lumped together.
Said blumped.
Did I say blumped?
Yes, you did. You said blumped.
I said blumped.
We kind of blumped them all together.
Wow. I always have one blooper. Always. Gosh, dang it. Blumped. What the hell is blumped?
I swear you said blumped.
Nate, what the hell is a blump?
I have no idea.
Is that a blimp that's inflated wrong?
I don't know.
Blumped. Okay.
The other white meat.
Yeah, back to the Graham thing. Jimmy Graham, he's playing tonight with our opponent. Yeah. It all comes back together, doesn't it?
Comedy.
Yeah, comedy gold. I tell you, always on this show. All right, so anyway, we put them all together. That's a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, all together. So we have numbers, we have the research. So.
And usually we do it by position. But I think the way we printed them printed them from
right from CBS.
From CBS,
so,
and what they do for the printed reports.
Yes.
Custom report.
You can do a custom report of anything. So it's very handy, very convenient.
And they do it by point totals of the players,
yes.
not exactly by point totals of positions.
Correct.
So maybe this is easier. We're just
experimenting.
Trying different ways.
All right, so your top 5 scorers for the week, and 2 of these guys were on our team and led us to victory.
Yeah.
But your number 1 was Odell Beckham from the Giants, and what a freak wide receiver this guy has become. I was just going to
say that, freak of nature.
Yes.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, one week he's making a ridiculous one-handed catch, falling down on his back in the end zone.
And I saw that last week. That was just nasty.
It was just freakish.
And I tell you what, that was probably the most replayed
absolutely.
of the week.
Absolutely.
Who does he play for?
Giants. Yeah, he's a Giant wide receiver. Yeah. But you have to think, somebody has had to step up in the absence of Victor Cruz, who's out for the year, so...
I think he's done that.
Oh, absolutely, and then some. Yeah. I mean, you put up 30 points in a game against Washington. I mean, that with 3 touchdowns, that's insane.
Yep.
Yeah. Targeted 15 times. 15 targets. Caught 12 of them. 143 yards and 3 scores. Yeah. So, absolutely huge. Now, he did lose a fumble, so that's the only... So, he gave away a couple points.
Rook.
But, yeah, Rook.
He's still a rookie, folks. So, you're going to...
So, you can't really fault him for that.
you're gonna have mistakes.
Yes.
And you're gonna,
Yeah.
I was watching, to make a comparison to that.
Sure.
I was watching the Colts America's game because I kind of like to revisit. I mean, the Colts won the 2007 Super Bowl.
Yes, against the Bears, correct.
Against the Bears.
Yep.
And what NFL Network does is they do a series called America's Game of the Super Bowl winning, teams.
Right.
Peyton Manning's rookie year, they finished 3-13.
Yep.
The next year, the very next year,
13-3, one of the best turnarounds in NFL history, if not the biggest.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Rookie, but still good. I'm expecting big things from him.
Yeah, I mean,
as he learns.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to throw a rookie out there and expect him to produce right away.
Can't say the same thing for Richardson, unfortunately.
No, he struggled wherever he was. In Cleveland, he was okay, but not great. And even here, even after a whole year of learning the playbook, he's still running. Year and a half. He's still like he's running the comparison I gave Nate, running through mud. I mean, that's
like they said, lose 6 or 7 pounds, get
Yeah.
better, get more fit, and maybe you'll fit into
Right.
the system.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Richardson's certainly playing like a rookie.
Yeah, but no, Beckham is not, and he is going to be a stalwart in that Giants.
What?
Stalwart, like a very good player, like a consistent player. Stalwart, I know, is kind of outside your vocabulary. He's using them big college words.
It's just when I hear a word that I don't know,
Right.
I'm very big on vocabulary. I aced my high school language arts freshman through junior year.
Yeah. So that's a new one for you.
That's
kind of like kerfuffle, right?
I use that all the time.
Yeah, you use it all the time. I heard off of TV during a scrum, and now it's here using it all the time. There's a kerfuffle. There's a kerfuffle.
A commentator was making reference to a college brawl on the field. He says kerfuffle. So we looked it up.
Yeah, and it's reference to a fight
a big
situation.
Fight.
Yeah.
So every time we're watching football or hockey.
I think you made the reference last night with Dallas, Philadelphia. With
kerfuffle.
with that brawl in the end zone. Yeah.
Tangent.
Yeah.
Comedy.
It happens. Number 2, Dez Bryant. I mean, what more can you say about Dez? Except that he's insane. Insane, amazing.
Freak of nature.
Great player. Could be our MVP this year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
No.
By the way, this new microphone's picking me up really well.
It's built in.
I think.
Yeah, it's built in.
I'm off to the side, so I
but you can still see the bar going up when you're talking. Yeah, so.
He got a new laptop. We're
it's
experimenting
wonderful.
on that.
It's wonderful. But targeted 7 times, 6 catches, $114 and 3 scores as well. So he said to Beckham, anything you can do, I can do just as well. If not better.
And I watched the second half of that game.
Yep.
Insane.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
Insane.
Yeah.
What was that, like a 20?
The third touchdown pass was just sick. I mean, he just throws like a rainbow floater down the right side and
no doubt
right over the guy's shoulder and put it right where it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was just amazing. So
we had a little scare a few weeks ago with Romo going down with those fractured back.
He's had that for a couple weeks now, yeah. And what I read was when they played Philly the first time in the Thanksgiving Day game, when all those Cowboys struggled and we lost the result of that game, he didn't take his pain injection shot, is what he claimed.
Okay.
So that's why he struggled so much. So but now he got back in the routine of doing that, and he's played well ever since. So
you mean some drugs are legal?
Yes, apparently yes, and some are legal in the NFL. Yes, so you can take pain injections. Yes. So, drug joke, yeah.
Well, they had that big steroid debacle in professional sports.
And now they're testing for HGH and all that hullabaloo. So, finally, took them long enough.
I don't know.
So, no doubts with Dez. No surprise if Beckham does well, so does Eli Manning. He was number 3. 28 fantasy points, 23 of 34, 250, the 3 touchdowns, all to Beckham. A 118.5 passer rating. Not bad.
Nice.
So again, as Eli goes, usually as you mentioned, the quarterback point, the Giants go. So and again, playing a team like Washington, who really is a kerfuffle.
118 out of 158, then.
Yes, so pretty close to perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're playing a team like Washington, who's at the bottom of the barrel in the NFC, not surprising. Number 4, Jeremy Hill, the running back from Cincinnati. But then again, all your Bengals mostly had a field day against the pathetic Browns. Now it's the pathetic Browns that are falling apart at the seams this time of year. Yeah, you got to do it. We got to do it. And they're all taunting poor Johnny Football in his first game. 30-0. You lose. You get taunted with the money signs.
There was actually a Bengal that got a unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yes, they did. Yes. Yep, I read that. Right in the face as he's standing over him. Yeah.
It's okay to do it as your celebratory thing, but for the opponent to get right in your face, I'd have knocked his ass out.
Yeah, no kidding. And the other funny from that game, Jeremy Hill, who I just mentioned, the running back, he scores a touchdown. He sees 2 Bengals fans in the front row. He tries to dive and do a leap. The Browns fan flies from his seat and denies him. Just pushes him right out.
I saw that. I didn't exactly know why he
denied.
Fell. I didn't know why he fell, but now that you mention it, it's like...
Yeah, you're not jumping into our dog pound. No. But, no, Hill had a great day. 25 carries, 148, 2 touchdowns, 26 fantasy points. So... He has definitely emerged as the top running back in Cincinnati.
And whoever had the Cincinnati defense, once again doing a jig in your living room.
Absolutely. Second highest behind the Ravens. So, yes. So, huge.
Second highest behind the Ravens.
Yes.
Us.
Yeah, us. We had the Ravens, yeah.
Ha.
And number 5, again, our guy, Tony Romo. 22 of 31, 265, the 3 touchdowns to Bryant, and a 129.1 passer rating. Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, the fact that Romo has bounced back in a big way, huge for us and his fellow fantasy owners. 6 through 10, looking at these next 5, Matt Ryan, Alex Smith, Le'Veon Bell, Tom Brady, DeMarco Murray, all in the high 20s. Matt Ryan, I can't say I'm too surprised because that was a good matchup for him going up against Pittsburgh, playing at home. He was 26 of 37.
He struggled a little bit. He had a couple interceptions, too.
He had 1. He had 1 pick. He had 2 touchdowns. So 24 points for Ryan. It's nice to see Atlanta, I just move every time it gets kind of dark. But it is nice to see him doing well. Again, Atlanta is in the playoff race. Of course, it's a very weak NFC South, or should I say horrible NFC South, but the worst division of them all this year. But nice to see him do well, especially with Julio Jones out. Jones did not play because of a hip injury.
Okay.
So then you connect with guys like Roddy White, guys like Harry Douglas, who stepped in and did a nice job. I didn't tell you this, but I made an interesting strategic play. I grabbed Harry Douglas off the wire and put him on our bench so that no one else could get him.
Nice.
It's strategy. You deny a player, and Matthew Berry from ESPN even says it. He has no problem with an owner blocking another owner to pick someone up than you doing that. So, hey, if he has no problem with it.
And if it doesn't hurt our team, who'd you have to release? Or did
our backup tight end, because we got Julius back. We got Julius Thomas back healthy, so you didn't need
Is he doing?
Yeah, he's doing good. Yeah.
And you start one tight end?
One tight end, yeah. So we didn't need the second if Thomas was healthy. So I figured that was a move that.
And hopefully he'll stay healthy for one more week.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Hopefully.
So yeah, So I think it was a good move because as long as Jones is out, then Douglas could pay off for us. So that's a good move in that regard too. Alex Smith against Oakland, that was kind of a no-brainer because again, it's Oakland. It's a great matchup. He went 18 of 30, 297, 2 touchdowns. Normally, Alex Smith not a deep ball passer, but he works with what he has. You've got Jamal Charles in the backfield. You've got Nile Davis. You've got some weapons. Kansas City.
Okay.
He's not known as a deep ball threat. He's more of a dink and dunk passer. But in the good matchups, you can exploit that. So no surprise there. Le'Veon Bell of Pittsburgh obviously was a no-brainer. That was a no surprise. He's been the workhorse in Pittsburgh all year. Our opponent had him, but it didn't hurt him. Or no, I'm sorry. Flynn has Le'Veon Bell. So that's going to be concerning for us next week because Flynn's got Le'Veon Bell. So I'm a little worried about him because Bell had 23 points this week. And, yeah, that's going to be tough. Brady against Miami. Big day, 21 of 35, 287, 2 touchdowns. Did have the 1 pick, but he ended up with 22 points. Didn't hurt him all that much. That was kind of a no-brainer. Playing at home in Foxborough where he's comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And then DeMarco Murray of Dallas ended up with 20 points, 31 carries, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, the only concern that I just read it before you came in for the show, he did suffer a fractured bone in his hand. Yeah, he's going to have surgery tomorrow. They haven't ruled him out yet for the Colts game yet next week, so you just want to monitor that if you're a DeMarco Murray owner for next week's final. So pay close tabs on that. Because obviously he has been a huge asset for Dallas all season.
Well, the Moment had him, didn't they?
No, Riverdale had him.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he has already lost.
Gone.
Yeah, so
for this year at least.
Yeah, so yeah.
Ain't gonna hurt nobody.
At least not for us, no. Next 5, Niall Davis, Demaryius Thomas, Derek Anderson, Andrew Luck, Teddy Bridgewater. No surprises, obviously, are Demaryius Thomas and Andrew Luck. Those guys produce every single week. Thomas had 6 catches for 123 and a score, 18 fantasy points. Luck was 18 of 34 for 187. Not flashy numbers, but still had 2 touchdowns, did have a pick. He ended up with 18 points. And you made the reference when you were talking about the Colts and Texans, how it was kind of, as a quarterback goes again, so goes a team. It was an ugly game to watch. It wasn't pretty by any stretch, but Andrew Luck and the Colts find ways to win.
Yeah.
You know, and even if the numbers aren't all that impressive.
And what's Fitzpatrick's first name?
Ryan.
Right.
Yeah.
He's the stat guy. He tells me the names and stuff.
Right. The surprising names on that list that they're this high, I mean, for Niall Davis, obviously, again, I think that was more of a product of matchup. He's Jamal Charles' backup in Kansas City. Okay. So surprisingly, he got more points than Charles. I'm surprised at that. How many did Charles end up with? He's not even on the second page. Good grief. Where are you, Jamal? Did he get hurt or something? Good grief. Wow, Jamal Charles is like way on the bottom of this list. Kind of on the first few pages. That's surprising. Maybe because he was hurt. I didn't hear anything about it, but Niall Davis ended up with 20 points. 9 rushes for 11 yards and a score. Oh, and he had 1 catch for 70 yards and a score. There's your big points right there. 1 catch for 70 yards and a touchdown. That's 13 points on 1 play. So there's your majority of your points for Niall Davis. Now, normally he is a handcuff to Jamal Charles, but I don't know if Jamal Charles did get hurt in that game. I didn't hear anything personally, but I'm going to monitor that. Derek Anderson, though. Derek Anderson filling in for the injured Cam Newton, who, as you know, was in the crash and suffered the back injury. We knew he wasn't going to play. But he filled in admirably. Carolina beat Tampa Bay again with Derek Anderson at quarterback. 25 of 40. 40 passes for 277 yards and a touchdown. 18 fantasy points. They haven't ruled him out. He is expected to come back next week from what I've read. Okay. So he is expected to come back. They just want to give him rest this week, recover from all the soreness.
Thankfully.
Yeah. I mean, he even made a mention in his press conference, somebody should have been dead, and I'm glad it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So, because
the way that was that crash?
If you see his truck, I mean...
Yeah, I did.
You saw his truck. I mean, I was shocked myself. When I see the truck, I'm thinking, oh, dang.
Had he not had his seatbelt on, it probably would have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah. But thankfully it wasn't.
So wear your seatbelts.
Yes, absolutely. PSA, brought to you by the Seatbelt Administration, or something like that.
How many people watch YouTube?
Oh, I know, several.
Hundreds,
I know.
Thousands.
So if you picked up Derek Anderson for a 1-week one-off and he came through for you, good on you. But Cam in all likelihood is going to come back next week. So again, it is a 1-week one-off. But glad that he played nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And Teddy Bridgewater, the rookie out of Minnesota, 15th on this list, 31 of 41 for 315, had a touchdown but did throw 2 picks, so only 17 points. But again, you're playing Detroit in Detroit. It's going to be tough. Probably not a whole lot of people started Teddy Bridgewater anyway. So.
And he is
Minnesota's quarterback. He's the rookie for Minnesota. And guess who's back in Washington? RG3, number 16 on this list. Colt McCoy re-injures the neck. the neck injury that kept him out a couple weeks ago. So now RG3 is back and starting again. What a mess in Washington.
Mhm.
It's time to spin the wheel once again and play. Who's your quarterback? Is it RG3? Is it Kirk Cousins? Now is it Colt McCoy? Is it some guy off the street? We don't know. But now RG3's got his job back. He went 18 of 27, 236, had a touchdown. Also ran the ball 5 times for 46 yards, lost a fumble, 17 fantasy points. So not bad, but certainly not great. No. So he, I don't know if he'd be one recommended going forward. It's just a messy situation in Washington. We'll see how it pans out. After him, you got the next 4, Ryan Tannehill, Eddie Lacy, Mike Wallace, Peyton Manning. Peyton only had 15 points against San Diego. That is quite, but he had been struggling of late. He only had 2 points the week before, so at least that's a bit of an upgrade from the week before. Yeah. Peyton was 14 of 20, 233, a touchdown. Still a passer rating of 125.6. That's pretty amazing considering the low numbers. But then again, it is Peyton Manning, so you're not benching him under any circumstances. Flynn's got him. You got to face him in the final. Yippee skippy of that, yeah. So. But that's just a given. Now, Tannehill, even though he struggled against New England, he throws the ball a lot. 29 of 47 for 346, had a touchdown, did throw 2 interceptions. So he ended up with like 17 points. So not bad. He's a free agent in our league. Could be available in a lot of leagues. Depends on his matchup next week if you want to use him or not in the final. But, probably wouldn't recommend a play by any stretch for a lot of people, but just depends on who he's got to work with. That's Tannehill in Miami, yeah. No surprise that Eddie Lacy played well. He's been the major running back for Green Bay. There was a concern a bit about whether it's his health status with a hip issue, but he did play. Didn't really split time with James Starks. 15 carries, 97 yards, had a touchdown, 16 points. You're probably using him going forward as long as he's healthy. And then I mentioned Tannehill, Mike Wallace is his main weapon. 5 catches, 104 yards, and a touchdown, 16 points. Huge for him. Your top tight end was Gronk. Can't be surprised at that. Targeted 8 times, only had 3 catches, but for those 3 catches, 96 yards and a touchdown. Gronk does so much with less. Yeah. He really does, and he puts out points for his owners. So you're definitely using him going forward. Marshawn Lynch, no-brainer going forward. 21 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown against San Francisco. 15 points as well.
Ooh, I like that for later.
What?
Playing Madden after
the
show.
No. Yeah. This guy uses Seattle. I can't crack it for nothing.
On Madden.
Yeah. Next 3, Geno Smith, Devin Hester, Josh McCown. Free agents available in our leagues.
Devin Hester's a free agent?
Yes, but he's not really used in Atlanta. He's not really a major part of Atlanta. For a kick returner.
Yeah, they put him on special.
That's why. He's not really normally in wide receiver. But because Julio Jones was out, they used him more, targeted him 6 times, 5 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. So maybe if you're hurting at wideout going forward, if Julio remains out, maybe he could be a usable wide receiver 3, 4, or flex, And
I understand that he is a good punt returner.
Right.
And a good special teams asset, but dear Atlanta, why do you only use him on special teams?
Right.
The Bears used him for both positions. He was your punt returner and a good wide receiver, a good runner.
Right.
So use him.
Use him. As for Geno Smith and Josh McCown, I don't know if I can really recommend them going forward. They had good matchups this week playing the Tennessee and Carolina horrible defenses.
Yeah.
So they each had 14 fantasy points, but you're not going to really trust them in a fantasy final. So I really can't recommend either of those guys. Next bunch, Julian Edelman, Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco, Matt Asiata, Harry Douglas. Edelman, again, is one of the top wideouts in New England. Targeted 10 times, caught 7 of them, 88 and a touchdown. Definitely a strong weapon for Tom Brady to use in that offense, besides Gronk. So it's nice to have a top wide receiver there. So outside of Brandon LaFell.
I'll tell you what, if Edelman keeps doing well, maybe we ought to target him next year.
Oh, I know, right? If he's going to be our number one guy in New England, yeah, definitely. Roethlisberger ended up with 14 points against Atlanta, 27 of 35 for 360. Dang, a lot of yardage there for Ben.
Only for 14 points and a 360.
Because he had no touchdowns. No touchdowns, no picks.
Oh, yeah.
So I bet every touchdown was scored by Mr. Le'Veon Bell at running back.
Okay.
That's probably why.
Playing quarterbacks, your points are going to go mostly on touchdowns.
Yeah. Not usually. I mean, your yardage is nice, but only if you have something to back it up with touchdowns. So I'm surprised because you've got weapons there in Pittsburgh. You've got Antonio Brown. You've got Martavius Bryant.
To have 360
60 yards and no touchdowns. That's an anomaly.
For Big Ben?
Yeah. I think that's more of an anomaly than the norm. I think that's a blip and not a trend. I think is the game that ESPN used to play.
I was going to say
blip or trend. Yeah.
Is he winding down?
No.
He's not that old.
No.
I mean, he's been in the league for a few years.
And he's won 2 Super Bowls. Yeah. So
still.
yeah. Wacko Flacco ended up with 14 points against the Jags. 20 of 30 for 221 and a score. So not a bad day.
We still call him Wacko Flacco.
Wacko Flacco. Yeah, I think you kind of have to. It kind of fits with his name. So in good matchups, you can use him going forward as well. Asiata now is the main running back in Minnesota. Obviously, if you guys hadn't heard, Adrian Peterson's appeal was denied by the league. He will not play this season. He can only apply for reinstatement until April of 2015. So no AP. So Asiata now is the lead back in Minnesota, but only had 11 carries for 36 yards and a touchdown. But he did catch all 7 passes for 50 yards.
Now, the Vikings did release AP, period, didn't they?
No.
Okay.
They have not got rid of him yet. No, not officially. No. I'd be shocked if they didn't. But that's the question. Do you take him back? Do you want him back? I mean, I understand he's a good player in the field. It goes back to the whole Ray Rice thing. But, do you want him back?
Do you want to take the
PR hit? Yeah, exactly.
Like they're talking about
with Ray Rice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who wants to take that hit?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a team that is struggling at running back, say Oakland.
Yeah.
Their PR can't get any worse. So
Jacksonville,
their PR probably
Tennessee.
Those PRs probably couldn't get any worse, so hell with it.
Right, right. Although I don't know about Oakland. They might have found a gem in Latavius Murray, so I don't know. They might not go running back, but...
Yeah, but you're still at
2 and 12 team. Right? Probably going to be 2 and 14 at the end of the year.
So what do you do?
I know, right? So, but Asiata, that's where he got most of his points, was the passing game. So as long as he's the lead back, maybe an RB2 or 3. And then I mentioned Harry Douglas. Again, filled in nicely for Julio Jones. Targeted 14 times, caught 10 of them for 131, 13 points.
Who?
Harry Douglas, the Atlanta receiver.
Okay.
That I stole off the wire to block people from using him. So. So if Jones is still out next week, maybe we take a shot as a number 3, maybe. But we'll see what happens. Again, you said we'll have to look at projections. So
this week will be a
big projection week for the final. Yes.
I'm not big on projections.
Right.
Most of the time
they're wrong.
Or maybe
I can go back to the Matt Forte rant on that one. I didn't tell you about the Forte rant, did I?
I think you did a little.
I did a little bit, where it was
anyway,
justified. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
What? Wasn't he projected for?
He was projected for 16 points against the Lions' number 1 ranked run defense. And I said, no, there's no way in hell he's going to get 16 points against the Lions. It's not going to happen. And I rated, and I kept screaming, I rated this guy above him. And what did he end up with? 5 points. I was right. CBS, you were wrong.
As usual.
As usual.
Sorry, CBS, but you are.
Wrong. Survey says. Yeah.
Where do they get their stats? 90% of the time, they're
I don't know.
not right.
I don't know. Yeah, I look at that while I'm recording the show, and I'm like, really? Against the Lions' #1 run defense, who are allowing 80-some yards a game, you're projecting Forte for 16 points. No. Not going to happen. And it didn't. Next 5 on the list, Derek Carr, Antonio Brown, Owen Daniels, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford. Really, the 3 that aren't surprising are Brown, Wilson, and Stafford. Brown caught all 10 of Ben's targets for 123 yards. 10 for 10. If that doesn't tell you how good a receiver he is...
For Pittsburgh?
For Pittsburgh, yeah. I mean, that tells you enough. Yeah. So, again, no touchdowns, but... Again, you'll take the 12 points on the yardage.
Yes. So,
no shame in Antonio Brown. Russell Wilson against San Francisco. I knew that game was going to be an ugly game, and it was. It was only 17-7. But Wilson still put up.
Where was it at? Was it at Seattle?
It was at Seattle. That's why. That's a big reason why. 12th man. He went at home. 12 of 24, so 50%. 168. Threw for a touchdown and did have a pick for 12 points. So not pretty. But sometimes you got to win games ugly, like I said. And then Stafford against Minnesota, only 17-28 for 153 with a touchdown for 12 points. Kind of rough there for him, especially in a good matchup against Minnesota and at home. But some of these guys lately, I think, are studs, have had really, really rough weeks. So
yeah.
Very, very surprising.
It's good to see Matthew Stafford still doing okay.
No, he's still doing absolutely fine. I mean, he's still got. I mean, hello, he's still got Calvin Johnson. Hello, and he got Golden Tate, a good number 2.
Oh yeah.
So
definitely.
I mean, so that was one of the big free agent moves I think of the year. So to steal him from Seattle, I mean, that was just huge. So that was huge for Detroit. Now, interesting to note that Derek Carr. This number jumps out at me at Derek Carr of Oakland. Okay, you're on Oakland. You're on a 2-12 team. 27 of 56 for a quarterback. Threw 56 times. 222 yards and a touchdown. 12 fantasy points. Yeah. So, but again, if you're a team like Oakland where you're trailing in games, you have to throw a lot.
Yeah.
So I guess in a way that's kind of understandable. You're not using him really in fantasy purposes, but
and if your quarterback, here's a question. If your quarterback is having to throw that many times, do you go another running back? To strengthen your running game. Oakland, I hope you're listening.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's a valid point.
Because that's got to have a little bit of wear and tear on him.
Sure.
And, of course, every time your quarterback throws, you take the risk of him getting hurt because they're rushing.
And he's a rook.
Who's this?
Derek Carr, the rookie out of Fresno State. Yeah, he's a rook. So we're throwing him in there right away. So, but again, you kind of had to because really behind him you had nobody in Oakland. So. And
it's Oakland, so they're just doing anything. They're just trying anything they can, just throwing the book.
Roll the dice, spin the wheel. Dun, 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 dun. Where does it land this week? It's like a carnival game. Dun, 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 dun. Where does it land this week? Where's the winner? Come down. Come one. Come all. The Oakland Raiders Carnival. Dun, 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 dun.
That was random. As hell.
But isn't it though?
I don't like that casino game roulette.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Oh, we've had to do it with running backs this year. We've had to play running back roulette all year. Yeah.
That sucked.
Yeah, spin the wheel. Where do we go this week? Yeah, exactly.
But thank God we have a.
Thank God we found Joik Bell. Yeah, thank God we found Crowell. We found Heron. Yeah.
Crowell really didn't do.
Well, no, but he had been decent. But all the Browns stunk this week, so come on. But we found Heron. So
thank God we at least have a good roster now.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
And some teams, you made the reference to teams giving up.
Yes.
You know, we struggled on a few positions earlier in the year, but like you said, we didn't give up. We still stuck with it, and now we've got a beast roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would have never thought we would be playing Flynn's Raiders and actually have a chance. At the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, I'd say, okay,
Yeah.
our season's going to shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
parents, put your kids to bed. But yes.
Yeah.
So we're very opinionated. And
Yeah.
I have no filter.
Yeah.
Yes,
because,
I thought the season
right.
was going to crap.
Because again, we started 2-3, 1-2 in division, 2-3 in the first 5 weeks.
And we just had to make so many moves. But
yes.
thankfully, this guy right here is quite diligent
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
And he also knows his stuff.
Yes. Yeah. You
Lord
got to do your homework.
Lord knows we've had to use waivers.
Yes, we
What
have.
was that one year where we were using every waiver pick?
Oh gosh.
There was one year I
wasn't that Dolphinators?
where we missed the draft and we had to revamp
we had to
our
read the whole roster. Yes.
Because the draft.
Because it was your computer. Your computer was on the fritz. Yeah, your computer was on the fritz with Dolphinators. There was the night with actually when we won the title with Indiana Bolts, we had to go to the basement because of the tornadoes on draft night.
Tornado warning.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's still.
But that year we ended up winning the whole darn thing.
We have had experience
on
with,
draft night.
Waivers.
Yes.
And using the waivers.
Yes.
So yes, if your team doesn't
I
do
say it
so
all the
well,
time.
check the
waivers.
You would be surprised.
You will find gems. Yeah, you will find gems on waivers.
We have had so many. You know, he's called me so many times. You're not gonna believe
who's on the wire.
Who's on the wire? Some fool put
so and so, yeah, on the wire. Wayne on the wire, yeah, or the Dallas kicker, or yeah.
These good players.
We got Witten for the fill-in, yeah.
Yeah, these good players is like, you're not gonna believe this. What? Can't get him on draft night, but some idiot puts him on the wire.
And then Nate says his famous line, "Get his ass!"
Yes, get his ass.
Get his ass! You gotta say the ass! Gotta put the emphasis on it. Ass!
Wow. You have been drinking way too much caffeine. Wow. It's always fun when I'm here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Got to. Oh, shoot. All right. Next 5 on the list. This whole show has gone to pot.
Oh, you said pot. Where is it?
Like that train song.
Yeah.
If you guys have not heard Angel and Blue Jeans, that is like the trippiest song. Comes right out of the Cool TV channel, probably. Yeah. It is trippy as all get out.
By the way, Cool TV is just trippy.
It's trippy music videos. Yes. Yeah.
I swear they're sitting in the production room smoking it.
And we're listening to this song in the car. Megan Rebel says, "Where's the heroin? Where's the 8-ball?
Where's the crack?
Where's the crack?
Meth, you know."
As he's going, oh, and then he's throwing the drug line. Yeah.
They make it so easy.
It's too easy. Yeah.
And you YouTube viewers have met Matt a few times, our other co-owner.
Yep.
He's the one that taught us. If you open the door, we're going to rip your ass.
Yeah, absolutely. It's too easy. Yeah.
If you make it easy, if you give us ammo, we're going to...
Right. Next 5, going back now to this after the funny moments.
Yeah.
Chris Polk, Antonio Gates, James Jones, Roddy White, Greg Olson. Polk, yes. He's a free agent running back from Philadelphia. He's a handcuff. 2 carries, 6 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's chasing points. You don't want to do that. That's just chasing points. But Antonio Gates, no surprise. You want to use him going forward. Targeted 7 times, 6 catches, 54 yards, and a score.
Who?
San Diego's tight end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gates
you should know Gates.
Gates is still a
Charger. Still a Charger, yep. James Jones of Oakland was a big beneficiary of Carr's numbers. Targeted 11 times, 8 catches, 57 yards, and a score. So maybe more of a wide receiver 3. Mentioned the Falcons. Roddy White also had a good day with Julio out. Targeted 10 times, 7 catches, 58 yards, and a score. Nice. So 11 fantasy points there. And Greg Olsen of Carolina. Really, there's two reliable options in Carolina's offense. Besides, because running backs are kind of in the. There's Kelvin Benjamin, the rookie wide receiver, and there's Greg Olsen. Usually, these guys are really reliable. Olsen was targeted 13 times, caught 10 of them, 110 yards, 11 points. So, even with a backup quarterback, these guys still thrive.
Yeah.
So, you definitely should have played him this week against Tampa Bay.
I mean, and if you're a good player individually, of course you're going to do better when your team does better, but if you're a good player, you're still going to shine, no matter what. You can
those are the kinds of players you call matchup proof.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you start them regardless. So.
And if you've got enough talent, you can adapt to situations and make yourself useful.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Next 5, Phillip Rivers, Hakeem Nicks, Greg Jennings, Jericho Cotchery, Kelvin Benjamin. Yeah, Hakeem Nicks caught a touchdown pass.
Had a heck of a week.
Yeah, and where had he been all year? I mean, he just came out of nowhere. No one expected him to have a touchdown.
Well, here's the thing. Wayne's dealing with
injuries is the problem. Triceps. Yeah.
Triceps. So you're probably going to use Nicks a little more.
Although Moncrief was held catchless. That was surprising.
He was targeted.
Yeah.
I think he got a pass interference called his way.
Okay. And see, our opponent had Moncrief and started him.
Yeah.
And was held catchless. So.
Well, he would have. What I'm saying is he probably would have caught a couple passes had there not been pass interferences.
Yeah. So, but no, Nicks was targeted twice and caught them both, 44 yards in the score. So I don't know if you want to use him going forward. This is maybe a desperate wide receiver. I don't know. It's a risk. Yeah, it's a risk. It's a risk. Rivers against Denver, decent day, 24 of 41, 232, had a touchdown, did throw the 2 picks though, so that kind of bit into his day a bit. But you were expecting San Diego to kind of struggle against Denver. They usually do. They play them tough, but they just can't beat Denver.
No.
And that's the thing. Greg Jennings in Minnesota, he's emerged as the top weapon there. But he did have a touchdown this week, so that kind of saved his day.
He used to play for Green Bay.
Yes, Jennings was always a long-time Packer, but now he's in Minnesota.
Yeah.
5 targets, 3 catches, 43 yards, and a score. So he's been kind of a consistent weapon for Teddy Bridgewater in his first season there. Cotchery of Carolina, interesting to note here. Normally not a name you really hear of much, but he caught all 5 targets for 47 yards and a score. And there's Kelvin Benjamin, targeted 13 times, 8 catches, 104 yards. So again, the Carolina guys that you rely on all year, still doing really well. But now you get Cam back next week, so that'll make it even better.
Should.
Yeah, definitely. Next 5, these guys all had 10 fantasy points. Randall Cobb, Eric Decker, Arian Foster, Nate Washington, and Joik. So, again, the no surprise names are Randall Cobb and Arian Foster, and Joik. Joik. Man, what a find we found in Joik. I mean, he is... been now, with Reggie Bush battling injury, which was expected because he is very injury prone.
He's a waiver guy, isn't he? Or did we draft him?
No, he's usually been on waiver.
We got him off of waiver.
For 1 week, but then we didn't really need him, so then he went back. But yeah, because Joik was healthy. So, but yeah, Joik these last 3 weeks has been killing it. 20 plus, and then got 10 this week. So huge. He has been the main, because the thing is, he's that dual threat running back. He can run the ball, but he can also get work out of the passing game.
And we got Joik off the waivers, didn't we? Or did we draft him?
We drafted him originally, and then we briefly let him go because he had a concussion, but then we got him back.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Lucky for us.
Yeah, no kidding. It's not every year where you're able to get your same player that you drafted back. We got him back and Mike Evans, so that was huge. Yeah. But Cobb, big day again. For Aaron Rodgers, 13 targets, 7 catches for 96 yards. Also ran the ball 3 times for 15 yards. Interesting, you don't see a wide receiver normally run the ball. Cobb of Green Bay.
Okay.
So normally you don't see wide receivers run, but sometimes with the fast guys you can do that.
Oh, with so many teams going into so many different offenses, you got a pistol offense where a wide receiver in the pistol offense could get the direct snaps. So
definitely.
That's probably what might have happened.
Definitely, yeah. Yep. Eric Decker of the Jets had targeted 11 times, 7 catches for 100 yards. So it's nice to see him doing well with the Jets offense. Big change coming from a team like Denver, where you're going to make the playoffs usually every year, to a team like the Jets.
I was going to say he was a Bronco.
He was. Yes, he was very good in Denver, and then he goes to the Jets. So
why did they get rid of him?
Hard to say. I don't know. I was confused why myself, so I don't know why they made that move.
Contract issues.
Probably. Arian Foster, when healthy, you know you're going to play him. Another big day for him. 26 carries, 99 yards. Also had 3 catches for 18, so right at 10 fantasy points.
Yes, and then with Houston's got a new quarterback, by the way.
Yeah.
So they said they're going to probably utilize Arian Foster more. I was watching the Texans and Colts game. He was working.
Yeah.
So, but they said when Ryan Fitzpatrick
broke his
down,
leg, and not pretty.
Broke his leg.
Ugh.
Are they still just reporting that, or has that been confirmed?
I think that's been confirmed. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, the commentators, I forget who was calling the game, but they said when Ryan Fitzpatrick goes down, half the playbook goes out the window.
Yeah.
And you rely on your vets more.
Yeah.
You know.
And now again, you're throwing a rookie out there. So
yes.
With Tom
so
Savage,
they're going to utilize Arian Foster quite a bit more.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah.
So
that will benefit him.
Owners
yes.
And fantasy owners expect a little bit out of Arian Foster for as long as.
And obviously that means that with that your benefit the running back, but now your wide receivers are going to get a drop down in value, like DeAndre Hopkins, like Andre Johnson.
Well, Savage wasn't too bad throwing.
No.
He's just got to show more confidence.
Right.
Throwing.
Right.
And I don't know how long Fitzpatrick is going to be out, but if Savage can show his worth, who knows next year?
You don't know how long he's going to be out with a broken leg.
Huh?
You don't know how long he's going to be out with a broken leg.
Well, I know he's finished.
What doctor do you subscribe to?
I know he's finished for the rest of this season, but we don't know if he'll come back next season. If not, if he'll be healthy by next season.
Okay, I thought you were talking.
No, well, I know he's done for the season.
He subscribes to the Chris Rock School of Medicine. Rub some Robitussin on it, make it feel better. Get that tussin in there, boy.
I know he's out for the rest of the season, but now, since it's late in the season, Ben Savage.
Ben Savage?
No.
Wait.
Who am I talking about?
You're talking about Boy Meets World.
No.
Or no, Wonder Years. You're talking about Wonder Years.
And, no, he was, Ben Savage was on Boy Meets World.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I am terrible with first names, folks.
Right.
Sorry.
Tom Savage.
Tom.
Yes.
And he's a rookie.
He's a rookie, so not very well known.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I know you probably think this kid's a dumbass, doesn't know what he's talking about, but I do.
Right.
I'm just terrible with names.
Right.
If he can show, that he's good for a rookie.
Right.
These last 2 weeks of the season.
Right.
A few weeks.
Right.
2-3 weeks.
2-3 weeks, yeah.
And of course the rookies,
I mean, Houston is still in the playoff hunt, but they're going to need a miracle at this point. They're still 2 games out, but they're a wild card, but they're going to need a miracle.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I agree with your point that they're going to rely on.
Blooper folks.
Yeah,
right there.
like I said, we each got one now, so yeah. Blumping and Ben Savage. Blumping and Ben Savage and train references all in one show. So
yeah.
Next 5, Delaney Walker, Jeremy Maclin, Charlie Whitehurst, Chris Thompson, and Jarvis Landry. Some of those guys I've never even heard of.
No.
Oh, I know Whitehurst because he probably filled in at quarterback for Tennessee because Mettenberger's out for the year with a shoulder issue. Locker came in. He might have played backup work. He was 10 of 24 with 2 of 3, 9 fantasy points. So, again, you're really not recommending to start him. Thompson is a free agent Washington running back, at least in our league he is. 3 carries for 12 yards, also had 3 catches for 22 and a touchdown. So really not utilized enough, so that's a chasing point, shot in the dark. Now, Maclin targeted 6 times, caught 4 for 98. So Jeremy Maclin is Mark Sanchez's big target in Philadelphia, so you're going to want to keep using him, obviously. Him and Jordan Matthews at wide receiver. And Landry in Miami, targeted 11 times, caught 8 of them for 99 yards. So still a good day for Jarvis Landry. A lot of people were concerned that Landry was going to be shadowed by Darrelle Revis playing New England on Revis Island, but still had a decent day regardless. So good that he panned out. And Flynn has him next week, so hopefully he won't go off against us. Next, these guys all are in the 9-point scoring range, just so you know where we're at in terms of points. Yep, that's the points, correct. Travis Kelce, Golden Tate, we mentioned him, Fred Jackson, Gio Bernard, and Colin Kaepernick. Man, how far Colin Kaepernick has fallen.
Yeah.
The Niners are also a mess right now. They were eliminated from the playoff hunt with a loss to Seattle, so they're done. There's a lot of speculation about Harbaugh possibly going to Michigan to coach there. That's news to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like a shocked face. Like, yeah, there's Michigan, according to reports, has narrowed their coaching search down to 4 names, and according to that, Harbaugh's at the top of the list. So, but no, it was not a pretty day for Kaepernick. 11 of 19, 141 yards.
Is Harbaugh going to get fired, or is he going to quit?
I don't think the Niners are going to fire him. Well, I mean, I don't know. You miss the playoffs after you get to the NFC title game 3 straight years.
Looking at him,
yeah.
They must be thinking something
because he's a Michigan guy,
happen.
because he played at Michigan. That's why.
I mean, are they going to try to steal him from the 49ers, or are they expecting him to get let go?
See, there's been a lot of talk about him. There's rumors of him going to Michigan. There was a rumor that Oakland was going to try to trade for him to go to Oakland. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors surrounding Harbaugh. Yes, you can trade for coaches. Yes.
I never knew that.
Yes. Yep. Yep, you can do that. You can trade for coaches.
Boy, they must be desperate if they're wanting to make a trade for him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's Oakland. Again, it's Oakland. You gotta
do anything you can.
Yeah,
to
it's
do
true.
Better than.
But Kaepernick, it's been amazing with Kaepernick how he's kind of like the media was like so mean to him last week. Like all he was saying was, I got to play better. I got to play better. I got to play better. They were counting his words at press conferences. He only said 80 words. That's not what a leader should say. And then he comes back a couple days later and gets better with the media and actually says more words. And so now everyone's saying, oh, he's saying more words. He's being a leader. Yay. Why? Why are you doing that to him?
More words does not reflect leadership. In fact, the recipe of a good leader is one that doesn't talk.
Right.
Look at Tony Dungy.
Right.
Perfect example.
Right.
If you use a lot of words, your words don't carry much weight.
Right. Right. So, but yeah, I can't really recommend him going forward because he has been an absolute mess. But Kelce had a good day, the tight end for Kansas City. 5 catches for 59 yards and a touchdown. He's usually been a touchdown maker, so he did lose a fumble, so that kind of hurt his day a bit. But we mentioned Golden Tate. Caught all 7 of his targets for 38 yards and a touchdown. So
he only got 9 points?
Yeah, because the yardage was small, I guess. Maybe he was just throwing dink and dunk passes.
38 yards?
38 yards. So the touchdown saved his day.
Mm-hmm.
After that, Jackson didn't do much against Green Bay. Well, he did get most of the carries. 20 carries for 71 yards. Also caught 3 for 27. Gio had 15 carries for 79 and 3 for 24. So, again, your dual threat backs there. More like RB2s going forward.
Mm-hmm.
After Kaepernick, again, these guys also had 9 points. What am I trying to say? Ponce points. I have no idea. Points. 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 Not Ponce. Points.
Where are you at today?
I have no idea. Are we on the FFSR show? I don't know. Are we here right now? Paul Richardson of Seattle, he's a rookie. Only targeted 5 times, caught 3 for 30 and a touchdown. His first NFL touchdown, so normally not too reliable. Doug Martin's getting most of the work in Tampa Bay. 14 carries for 96 yards with 9 fantasy points, so he's more of an RB2, RB3 going forward. C.J. Anderson, the starter in Denver, 29 carries, 85 yards. Also caught 2 passes for 11, so 9 points for him as well. As long as he's the main guy in Denver, you're using him going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Next group, These guys are in the 8-point range. Frank Gore, Sean Hill, Kerwin Williams, Stedman Bailey, Chris Ivory. Gore only carried 11.
See those numbers.
Yeah, I know, because the stupid chat window. 11 carries for 29 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
The touchdown saved his fantasy day. Then again, if you were playing 49ers against Seattle, you were pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Let's see. Not really other big names come out of that group. After that, yeah, Andre Roberts, free agent. Rex Burkhead, free agent. Vincent Jackson, playing decently with Mike Evans, the Tampa Bay receivers. Jackson had 7 points. Evans had 7. So.
Are you over that Johnny Football guy?
Well, of course, the media's already going to say that he's a bust after one game. Shut up. It's one game.
And he's a rookie.
Yeah, why are we freaking out over? Why are we freaking out over one game? Gosh.
We got the TV on in the background,
and yeah, they're talking about Johnny, and it's like, come on, one game.
What show is this?
Highly questionable.
Highly questionable.
Yeah, give him a break. One game.
Yes.
Tampa
Although
Bay.
as high as he was touted, though.
Oh, I know.
Going in.
But his first start, are you really going to expect all that much? No.
With the expectations of him.
True.
Yeah,
the hype was there. Yeah. Tampa Bay running backs, you really want to avoid those, maybe except Martin, but Sims and Rainey aren't going to do much for you. Shane Vereen ended up with 7 from New England. He was mostly his touchdown save the day there. Now, I mentioned Dan Herron and how he's on our bench. Now, we might give him a look next week. 11 carries for 60 yards and also caught 2 passes for 12, so 7 points.
Yeah.
So, averaged 5 yards a carry. If only Trent Richardson could say that.
No doubt.
Yeah, so he's a much better runner. The Colts need to realize that, get their head out of their arses and realize that. Hey, Trent, feel the bench.
And then flip-flop.
Yeah.
You can still use Richardson.
Yeah.
But make Herron your starter
Yeah.
or the more used guy. Come on.
And then now I'm sure some commenters typing, and this from the guy who said he was getting better, referring to you.
Richardson said he was getting better.
No, you did. Remember when you said on this show, oh, I think Richardson's playing better. I think he's getting better.
I thought he was because
I know some commenters typing it right now. That Nate guy was wrong.
He had a couple good weeks, a couple good consistent weeks, and then the bottom falls.
Yeah, and then he remembers, oh crap,
Okay.
I'm Trent Richardson. I suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richardson, his big problem is so inconsistent.
Yeah. He runs right into his offensive line.
Wow.
Nobody blocks for him.
It's like, are you blind?
Yeah. Can you find a hole? Obviously you can't.
I wonder if he's still single.
Ah! Wow. Wow. Nothing else you can say after that. Other guys in the 7-point range, and really these guys, no surprise. Some of these guys you can still rely on, like DeAndre Hopkins, LeGarrette Blount, Mike Evans, I mentioned, who's on our team. Saved his day with a touchdown. Dwayne Allen, good to see him back healthy. For a tight end for the Colts, he had a touchdown. Cecil Shorts of Jacksonville, he had 7 points. So did Alan Hearns. But then again, with Jacksonville, you're kind of like throwing a dart at the wall and seeing what's going to stick with that Jacksonville offense. Surprisingly, LaShawn McCoy only had 6 points against the Cowboys. That's very surprising. 16 carries, 64 yards.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have probably did a good job of bottling him up for the day. So you hope that he can bounce back next week, because normally you can really rely on him. I mentioned Latavius Murray of Oakland. He had 6 points against the Chiefs, 12 carries, 59 yards. Also caught 2 for 17. We're getting down to the last page here, at least for these guys. Marcus Wheaton had 6. Brandon Oliver, San Diego's backfield, that's a mess right now with him struggling and Ryan Matthews banged up. Heath Miller, Brandon LaFell. Our opponent had Brandon LaFell. Thankfully, he didn't go off. Only had 6 catches for 66, no touchdowns.
6 points?
6 points, yeah. Witten ended up with 6. Kyle Rudolph. Sanchez only had 6 points. 17 to 28, 252, the 2 interceptions. That's what killed him.
Yeah. Well, you lose what? 3
You lose 2 points for an
points.
interception, so yeah, that definitely hurt. So other than that, no one really else to recommend in that regard. All right, top kickers. Surprisingly, the top kicker was Josh Scobie of Jacksonville. 16 points against Baltimore. Surprisingly.
Well, when your offense
Sucks, you're going to get opportunities. Yeah. 4 to 5 field goals. Longest was 53, so you get the 5 extra points. So
that's what saved him.
Yep,
right
that's
there.
what saved him. Absolutely. Yep. Connor Barth of Denver had 16 against San Diego. He's building nicely now for Denver since they got him. Denver now is on their 3rd kicker this year. They had Prater, sent him to Detroit. Then they had McManus, fired him. So now you've got Barth, the former Tampa Bay player. So he's now doing quite well. Dan Carpenter of Buffalo had 15 against Green Bay. Catanzaro of Arizona, who he briefly had for a week, 14 against St. Louis. And Graham Gano of Carolina, 13 against Tampa Bay. So again, in these good matchups, the kickers really had good days. Also double figures for kickers were Mike Nugent, obviously Cincinnati putting up 30 on Cleveland. You're going to have a good day for a kicker. Ryan Suckup of Tennessee against the Jets. Gostkowski against Miami with 11. Prater of Detroit, I mentioned him with 10. And then a couple guys with 9. Sturgis of Miami. Parkey of Philadelphia, who you mentioned last night on the phone, who was really, really good.
Yeah.
And Schwiesom of Pittsburgh and Janikowski of Oakland, all with 9 fantasy points.
This is FF.
FP, it should be an FP, fantasy points.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, fantasy points. So those were the top kickers for the week. And then moving on to DSTs. Get to those kickers, there we go. We mentioned the top 2, Ravens and Bengals. We mentioned those 2. Our Ravens D was huge. Unlike the donuts they put up a couple years ago in a semifinal. That was painful to watch.
Yeah.
But they came through this year. 26 points, huge. Bengals had 23 against Cleveland. Again, when you shut out Cleveland, that's huge. They're going to have a big day. Patriots had 20 against Miami. They mostly shut down the Dolphins' offense. Chiefs had 20 against Oakland. The Bills, our backup, had 19 against Green Bay. That is why this decision next week is going to be so darn hard. And we talked about it on the phone a long time last night.
We have the Ravens playing
Houston. With Savage at quarterback.
With Savage at quarterback.
And now we have the Bills playing terrible Oakland next week. Tough decision. So we are very torn on that one.
Yes. Which is why, against my usual judgment, projections are probably going to
play a factor.
Part in this week's decision. Probably the only week that projections are going to play a part for me, because they usually suck.
Right. Other big weeks, Texans actually ended up with 18 against the Colts. But again, in that ugly 17-10 game, you're going to have a big week. So
the Colts need to start quicker.
Yeah, they do. They
have.
Lame even mentioned it on the radio that they're off to slow starts. Yeah. So they do. You're exactly right. Cowboys ended up with 16 against the Eagles. Not bad there. Cardinals ended up with 16 against St. Louis. That was also a low-scoring game.
Boy, that was a fun game to watch.
Game of field goals. The ugly NFC West. Yeah.
No, I mean the Cowboys and Eagles.
Oh, the Cowboys-Eagles. That was fun. Yeah, Cardinals-Rams was not.
No.
That was ugly. Seahawks 16 against San Francisco. No surprise there. And the Panthers, who we actually had at the start of the year, and then were terrible and got rid of them, actually had 15 points against Tampa Bay. Yeah, so...
Not as good as the Ravens or
No.
Bills. So, I think that was a good decision.
Good move, absolutely. Yep. And also double-digit weeks for the 49ers. Colts actually did have 13 against Houston, so not terrible there. Giants 13, Broncos with 12, Lions with 12, Steelers with 12, Titans with 11, and those are your double-digit teams.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else mostly either struggled or sucked.
Yeah.
Your worst defense? The Dolphins. 2 against New England.
Ouch.
2.
Well, yeah. It's
New England. If you started the Dolphins in your fantasy semifinal, you probably lost.
I could almost guarantee a loss.
You lost your ass.
Yeah.
Probably, in all likelihood. All right, so that is a recap of Week 15. Where is my magazine? I did have my magazine next to me to look at Week 16. Did I move it? I probably moved it. Yes, I moved it. Excuse me for a moment. Got to get to my magazine. Yeah. Whoa, shake your drink. Shake your drink, watch yourself. Alright. Got my magazine. Alright. Got to have the magazine on standby.
That guy should have just turned sideways there.
Alright, so now to end the show, we are looking ahead to Week 16, the fantasy final matchups for you next week. Wow.
What?
The NFL Network must really be trying to shell out money. Because your Thursday night game this week is Tennessee-Jacksonville. Who is going to watch that? Outside of Tennessee and Jacksonville, who's going to watch that Drek? Drek. At Drek. A really, really, really ugly, really bad, really,
okay.
That's what Drek means. D-R-E-C-K, Drek. I'm pulling all the vocabulary here, aren't I? Stalwart, Drek.
It's just words I've never heard before.
Blump.
Blump ain't a real
Yeah, I know. That's a blooper. But yeah, your Thursday night game is Tennessee-Jacksonville. Who are you going to trust in a fantasy final on either Tennessee or Jacksonville? Probably nobody.
Kicker?
Yeah, maybe the kicker. yeah, that's it. Because you're not.
You said Jacksonville's kicker had like 16.
Oh yeah, Scobie did have a good day, so maybe maybe
bad
use
defense.
their kickers. Yeah, maybe use their defenses just for fun.
Not in a final.
Yeah, no, not
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, not in a final. That's true. That's true.
Unless you're that team that.
That's the idiot
Yeah.
that somehow got there with just throwing darts at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really can't
Who was
recommend
the one in
anybody.
our team that had like a 2-4?
That was Richmond Highlanders.
Richmond Highlanders.
Yeah, they were terrible. Yeah. Now your Saturday games are pretty good. San Diego at San Francisco, even though San Francisco's side not much, but San Diego, you can probably use Phillip Rivers in that matchup, I'd say, as a good quarterback. Like Antonio Gates at tight end, Keenan Allen at wide receiver. Maybe not the running backs, because San Francisco's run D is tough. But you can definitely use those guys. I don't know if you can trust anybody on San Francisco at this point, though, again, because of the fact that they've struggled. You're not using Kaepernick. You're not using Frank Gore. I don't even know if you use the wide receivers, really, and not Vernon Davis, because he struggled. So I don't think I could recommend any Niners in the final either, because that's just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Philly, great matchup with Washington. I think you can use all your Eagles. You can use Mark Sanchez. You can use LaShawn McCoy. I think he'll bounce back from the 6-point week. You can use Jeremy Maclin, Jordan Matthews. Maybe Zach Ertz at tight end as a tight end too, maybe with some upside. Washington, though, do you use RG3 against the Eagles? That's tough.
Up.
That's tough. I don't know if you can really rely on him to get decent numbers. Alfred Morris at running back, maybe you can use as an RB2. Maybe Jackson as a wide receiver as long as he's still healthy. Jordan Reed at tight end, I think you can still use. But other than that, can't recommend anybody else. Minnesota at Miami. I think in that game, you can probably maybe use Tannehill as a QB2. You can use Mike Wallace as a good wide receiver. Running game with Lamar Miller, don't know for sure on that. As for Minnesota, I don't know if I can really recommend anybody as a must start because, again, not the backs. They're not starting Bridgewater in a final. Wide receivers, not really one that stands out. So I don't say much on that one. Baltimore, Houston, again, the scenario now, the Baltimore defense looking a lot more intriguing. The fact that Savage is at quarterback.
Yeah.
It is very intriguing. So I think you can use Flacco in that matchup. I think because again, Houston's secondary is awful. You can use Forsett at running back. You can use probably both receivers, Torrey Smith and Steve Smith, in that matchup. Houston, probably the only one you can really use for must-start is like you said, is Foster. Maybe Hopkins if you're desperate at wideout, but other than that, with a rookie quarterback, hard to trust. Detroit is at Chicago, so that's a great matchup for Detroit standards because, again, Chicago's defense, as we pointed out, is terrible. So start your Lions for that matchup. Stafford, Megatron, Tate, Joik.
Definitely Megatron.
Yeah.
He's a must-start every week.
Yes, yeah, he's the matchup-proof one. Yeah, definitely. So you're definitely starting your Lions. Bears, I don't know if you can trust because, again, that Detroit front four is just so tough.
Yep.
And, again, it's Forte. I guarantee the projectionists are going to put Forte for some frickin' high number like they did last time, and he's going to get shut down again. I just have a feeling they're going to do that again. You watch. I'll call you, and it'll say, Forte's projected for 16, 15 fantasy points against the number one run defense, and it won't happen again. I guarantee it. Cleveland is at Carolina. Can you really trust any Browns against the Panthers after that performance by Mr. Manziel? Probably not.
Probably not.
I wouldn't say it. A fantasy final, I really can't recommend it. Now, Carolina, even if Newton's banged up, I think you can still play him. I think as long as Newton plays, I think you can play him. And you're still starting Kelvin Benjamin, and you're still starting Greg Olsen. Okay. You might even start the Panthers D again for a second straight week. If you use them against Tampa Bay, against Cleveland, a team that just got shut out, you might be able to use them again. Atlanta is at New Orleans. Big game there, potentially for first place in the NFC South.
Yeah.
So I think you want to use your guys in that game as well. Matt Ryan, Steven Jackson maybe at running back. You could use him as a flex play because the Saints aren't great defensively. If Julio Jones is out, then again you can use Roddy White and Harry Douglas.
And in past years,
when those two get together, yes, absolutely, yep. And use your Saints. Kansas City is at Pittsburgh. I think in that game you got to use Roethlisberger, Brown, Le'Veon Bell, maybe Bryant as a wide receiver 3. For Kansas City, maybe Alex Smith is a desperate QB2, and Jamal Charles, if he's healthy, you obviously play him. If not, though, I think Niall Davis becomes a good fill-in option because we just saw he put up 20 points this week. So maybe you could use him there. Oh, New England is at the Jets. Gee, I wonder if you're going to start your Patriots or not.
Well,
yeah, you're playing the pathetic excuse that is the New York Jets. So you're definitely playing your Patriots. That's a no-brainer. It's probably the start of the week right there. You're playing all your Patriots that you normally rely on.
You'd be stupid not.
Absolutely. The Giants are at St. Louis. I would say that's a good game for Eli Manning, Beckham. Larry Donnell at tight end. St. Louis, I don't know if you can really rely on anybody. They've kind of had a rough go of it this year. You're not starting Sean Hill in the fantasy final or Trey Mason or their kind of scrub wide receivers. So can't really rely on those guys. We mentioned Buffalo at Oakland. Again, that's kind of a no-brainer. You're starting your Bills in the great matchup there. Unless you're in our dilemma with the DST, but you're starting Kyle Orton, you're starting Fred Jackson at running back, you're starting Sammy Watkins at wide receiver, another rookie.
And what a story for Kyle Orton.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah, and I mentioned it last night on the phone with you. How he has bounced around. This is like his fifth, sixth team in the NFL.
Easy.
Yeah, and now that he's finally got this going in Buffalo, great stuff. Yeah, great story. Colts at Dallas. I think you're starting anybody in that game. That's going to be a shootout.
We're probably going to start all of our players in that game.
Yes, yeah. We're talking Romo, Bryant, Bailey, the kicker, Hilton, Heron. Those are 5 right there that we're starting for sure.
And in the finals, yes, you're kind of I think you're kind of at a catch-22 there because, yes, you'll have most of your players
in
playing one game, but if they're all good,
right?
I say go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, get most of your points in one game, but they're all good.
Yes, they are. They are all good. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the only concern that I read, and I read this, and I haven't told you this yet, but I don't. There's a little bit of a concern. Hilton does have a bit of a hamstring issue. Left hamstring. We don't know for sure yet about what the severity of it is. He says he's going to get an MRI on it, get it checked out.
Lord.
So we'll monitor that all week, see what happens there. That's really the only concern I have right now. So hopefully nothing major. Hopefully, yes. And then the Sunday night game is Seattle at Arizona. I think you definitely start your Seahawks in that game. Obviously, the way that Arizona has struggled of late, even though they're still winning games, they're really at they're decimated on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense is still strong. The defense is going to win them a lot of games, but their offense, you're now down to your third, fourth string quarterback with Ryan Lindley and Logan Thomas. You've got running backs banged up. Your starting running back now is Stephon Taylor and Kerwin Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, it hurts a little bit. So I think you definitely start your Seahawks, Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch, those guys. Maybe Doug Baldwin is a wide receiver 3. So, and then your Monday nighter is Denver at Cincinnati, which is going to be a fun one too.
Start all your Broncos.
Start your Broncos, obviously. Again, Peyton, Demarius, Emmanuel Sanders, Julius Thomas, C.J. Anderson. Start those guys. Can you really trust Andy Dalton against Denver, that quarterback? I don't think you can. He's just had a rough go of late.
Yeah.
And so it's been so tough. But I think you still start Jeremy Hill. I think you still start A.J. Green. I don't think you can afford to sit those guys in a final. So that should be fun. This has been fun.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. That's all on the agenda. Guys, this has obviously been a blast. And going to the final next week, it's going to be a big, big week. So if you are in the final like us, good luck to you guys. Go out there, hopefully get it. We're going to be fighting our butts off. We're going to throw out the best roster we can out there to get our second title. We're so jacked and can't wait for it. So good luck. Again, if you have any comments, questions, anything, feel free to leave it on the channel below or how about on the comment box below or on the channel. You can leave it either or. Again, I check Gmail all the time to see if you guys respond, so feel free to do that. Good luck, and tune in next time for the next video.
We will be back. We've talked about maybe doing a
season wrap-up again.
Season wrap-up.
We did that last year. Yep.
Special looking into next season.
Sure.
The draft for next season is going to be absolutely insane.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's looking like, of course, at the beginning of the season.
The rookie class is going to be huge next year.
I know you do your draft preview
yes.
at the beginning of the season.
Yes. Yep.
But, even in the off season, coaches are still working.
Oh, sure.
And,
and there's free agent movements.
Yeah.
So,
I think we're going to do a season wrap up and look to next year's draft.
Absolutely.
Tell you, what moves to make.
Sure.
The biggest point in fantasy football or any sports is preparing for your next move.
Yes. Yep.
Being
one step ahead.
Yeah. Looking at the season stats and figuring out who we're going to get. We've talked about that.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
So.
Yeah.
Because we've had teams that are just kicking butt in our league this year with points and with records.
Yes.
It's like, who do these guys
have? Yeah, who do they have? Yeah.
So we'll be doing a lot more off-season and season scouting,
Absolutely.
Think. So we'll stick with you.
Absolutely. All right. Good luck, guys, and see you on the flip side next time for your team, your league, your home, your game, the FFSR. Thanks, guys.